welcome back to another Pro Series podcast. This is episode 80. It's very, very hard to believe that we're already on episode 80, but today I have another special guest. His name is Matthew Soares. He's from Toronto, Canada. He is an entrepreneur and small business owner of a painting company called A Smiling Painter. He talks about how he started up the company and what he's trying to change in the painting world and how people see the painting world. So stay tuned, listen to this podcast, but in the meantime, please like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And now I hope you enjoy episode 80 with Matthew Soares. Matthew, thank you so much for hopping on the Pro Series pod today. Oh, I was going to say this morning. It's not morning anymore, but thank you so much for hopping on.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm glad that we can finally have these conversations after many months of putting it off, unfortunately, but let's get started.
Absolutely. Let's dive into where are you shooting from? You said Toronto?
Yeah, so Toronto, Ontario, downtown, central location, great location. I love it. There's a lot of work in Toronto. I've thought many times of moving out of the city, but the work here, there's enough work to keep going for another 30 years. So I think staying in Toronto is a great, excellent choice. There's a lot of infrastructure going up every single day, condos being built by the galore. So there's definitely a lot of work for anyone looking to come to a city. I would assume Toronto is a great city to come to, most definitely. Definitely some high rent, but other than that, I think you'll find what you like here.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never been there. I definitely want to visit one time. But let's dive into your company, A Smiling Painter. Obviously, it's a painting company. Have you always been interested in painting?
So I first started out in the construction industry as a finish carpenter. I
Okay.
did jobs from there, concrete, bricklaying. It was actually in 2014 where I was doing a small demolition job for a client of mine, and he had a painter who was just painting his home, and the painter had asked me if I would be able to help him, and he would just pay me because one of his guys weren't there. I agreed. I painted, and then from that point on, I was like, "This is amazing." The home was a basic white. He had some colors, gray, red, and I think it was a blue, a light blue or a navy blue. I can't quite remember. And I just looked at the home after, and I was like, "Wow, this is incredible." Just from putting paint on a wall, you've transformed this home massively, right? So from that point on, I went to join a company called Wow One Day Painting. They're a bigger franchise. I think there's a few in America. They started out in Vancouver. From that point on, I stayed with them for 8 years. I did job site management. I did team leading. I rose to the ranks. Did the Muskoka project with them. So I ran that for 4 years with one of my buddies in the company. And then after a while, I kind of decided to branch off from the company because I felt I could do a little bit more on my own. I kind of knew the ropes of what to do. I kind of like dealing with clients. I like the marketing side. I like the sales because that's what I do for my company. I do all the marketing, all the sales. I do all the Instagram posts. Everything is done by me. So I kind of like that aspect. I like kind of putting that pressure on me to say,
Mm-hmm.
but not pressure. It's for me. It's I love doing what I do. It's an art. You can take
Mm-hmm.
anything and literally paint it and make it beautiful. We do a lot of custom cabinetry, a lot of lacquer finishes and stuff like that. So
Okay.
a lot of clients call us for that. We've done epoxy floorings as well. So we're trying to really get into like the kind of specialty, not just painting walls, painting trim. We really try to want to make your home feel a little bit more special, even by doing accent walls. We also work with two artists from Toronto who do our custom murals for us when clients have a special need or like
Mm.
logo on a school or in their shop or just in their home. We can provide that specialty to them.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you kind of fell into it. You didn't have any like, did you have art classes in school that you loved or?
Um, when I was younger, I did some art. I wouldn't say I was the best. I mean, I guess finger painting is the highest thing I could say, to be honest. I could draw a stick figure, but that was pretty much it. Again, as a child, I did love art. I wasn't the best at it, so I kind of fell out from it. But it was more just, I like interior design a lot. I like to kind of customize homes. As you can see behind me on my wall, I have pictures painted it green. So I kind of really like transforming spaces. And I felt painting was really a way to kind of help clients transform their home, not only by me coming in and just painting it, but in the beginning, in the initial assessment, we kind of discuss with the clients what they want, what kind of paint they want to do, what furniture they have, if they're moving in, what furniture they have to make sure that the paint matches everything. We also have consultants that we can give to our clients if they don't feel that I'm the special need they have. We have also interior designers that we can give them, and they can work with them very closely as well.
Interesting. So, I think one thing in common from people that I've had on the podcast and people that are listening to the podcast, they're either like, starting a company or they already have a company and they know that grind from starting a company. What's some advice you have, like, or stuff that you learned from when you started your company and kind of starting from zero and now getting your knowing how to run the business now and you kind of are into a groove? What's some advice that you have on someone just trying to start out?
My advice would definitely be to have a passion behind what you're starting. If you don't have a passion behind what you're starting, you're not going to like it. Every day is going to feel like a drag. You have to make sure that what you're doing has a goal at the end. Set daily goals, set weekly goals, set yearly goals. I
Yeah.
set 5 year goals to make sure that everything that I reach every year is what I want to meet. And just make sure again you love what you do, really, right? It's all about loving what you do. You got to make sure that when you're dealing with customers, you have that social aspect. You're able to deal with them really well, because that's what transfers, right? Customers can feel when you have that energy, when you have that kind of like ability to talk to them and speak to them. There aren't a lot of people, unfortunately, who have that, who kind of just go to work glummed out, like, oh, I just want to get this day over, let's do it. And people can feel that, right? They see that. So what I try to do, and is what I try to tell people, is just make sure you love what you do, set your goals, set your weekly goals, set your markers, and just make sure you're meeting those. It takes time. You're never going to start a business and you're never going to thrive within the first year. Maybe you do. Maybe you're like a Steve Jobs, where in the first whatever, you blow up and you're big. But most companies aren't like that, right? It takes time, it takes effort, and it's a slow grind. But in the end, it's definitely worth it to wake up and feel like you're actually doing something. You're not just like dragging out of bed. I get out of bed and I'm ready to go. I'm excited to go. I'm excited to deal with my clients, excited to finish my projects and just get the day going.
Yeah. And you brought up the future, and that's usually one of the questions I ask. What is the future looking like for Smiling Painter? Where are you wanting to spread, make it all maybe a franchise? What are you looking at?
So I am looking to make it a franchise. Obviously, that does take time. It takes a lot of support as well. I would have to obviously bring on a lot more team members. Right now, my team is very small. It's only 5 of us. But again, I'm trying to make sure that the guys I bring on are guys who I want on my company to grow with me. I just don't want to bring anyone who can hold a brush. I want to make sure they're good at communication, good at understanding what material they need to use, what products need to be used. I'm making sure that they can deal with clients, and just the image of them is good to bring to the company. I do want to get multiple vehicles on the road. I want to expand so the GTA, Oakville. We do basically all the GTA, which is Oakville, Vaughan, Mississauga, Scarborough, all those areas. We would like to kind of branch out north, so more Muskoka area, maybe
Mm.
venture out to Alberta, Vancouver. So we are trying to slowly grow, but again, it is a slow and grow process.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very I mean, I'm gonna say picky, but that's a good thing when you're a business owner, when you're trying to find people to, get your messaging out and your branding out. Um, do you find it I mean, there's so many people right now. I mean, I don't know how it is in Canada. I know in our area, um, it all depends on the economy and how people are making money and if they actually have that money to spend. Because painting is not always a necessity. Kind of like interior design, it's not a necessity. How hard is it right now finding people to help you out with your company?
More on a worker basis or just a client basis?
Work basis, so people that work for you.
I'll be honest. Toronto at the moment, there are a lot of people who are looking for work. There's no decline of people looking for work. Now the thing is, it's just if they want to come to work. I've had many guys
Uh,
who will schedule in, and then the next day they don't show up, or they'll come in and just they'll won't know nothing. I will take people who don't know nothing, and I would love to train them. I love to train them because that's the person that you can mold into what you want. When you get someone who kind of already has their way set in them, it's a little bit harder. So if I
mhm.
can work with newer people who have never even touched a brush, that's much better for me, because then I can show them the way that I run the company, the way that I do things, so that transfers onto them. And then when I kind of leave them on their own to be a team leader or just to stay on the project themselves, I know that I rest assured can trust them to be there.
Very cool. So this is something we didn't talk about, and I wanted to bring it up in the beginning. But what makes your company different from any other painting company in your, not just your area, just in general?
I wouldn't say there's anything different more than just, again, we try to keep our customers happy. We're always on top of all their messages. We're always on top of all their calls. There are a lot of painters who I've or a lot of customers that I've talked to that have said, hey, we have this guy supposed to schedule to come in, didn't show up, hasn't answered any of our emails, any
Mm.
other calls.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things that I get from a lot of people who are trying to hire painters in Toronto. It's just not answering calls, not answering emails, not coming for touch-ups, not finishing jobs, just, collecting on the unfortunate parts is sending a deposit and then them not showing up. So I just try to make my company that face where it's like, these guys are trustable. You can let them in your home. You can go to work. And when you come back, the project will be either done or we'll clean up the areas that we painted in, let you come in, use the home, and then next day we'll be back to do everything.
Yeah. Well, I want to finish on some advice you have to the everyday homeowner. I mean, I feel like everybody has at least hired a painter once in their life or thought about hiring a painter once in their life. What's some advice on for someone to find a painter? Obviously, if they're in the Vancouver area, they're calling you. Um, but if they're in, United States, where most of my followers are based out of, what are they looking for in a painter to hire them, and what not to look for it too.
So what I would recommend is obviously most basic is just going online, checking their customer testimonials, check the
Mm,
reviews, make sure that they're legitimate reviews. A lot of people like to kind of fake those reviews, getting their friends and families, and you can tell which ones are the real ones.
yeah.
Another thing is we have, I'm not sure if you guys have Home Stars in America. I'm sure you
No,
guys
I've
do.
never heard of that.
So Home Stars is basically just a platform where you can find any day workers from plumbers, electricians, painters.
Gotcha.
They do this award called the Best of the Best Award. So in Canada, this is what people look for. It's an award that's given each year. It's the best of the best companies out in Toronto or anywhere within Canada. So you really just want to look for someone who's answering your calls, answering your emails, who's friendly. Um, they don't have to be uniform, but dress well,
Mhm.
clean, meticulous, making sure that from the beginning they're answering all your questions, making sure that they know the points of what you want of the project, and just really focused on you more than just, hey, let's get this project started, let's get it going.
Yeah, that's something actually I brought up a question when you were saying that about reviews. I think people struggle with getting reviews. I mean, by the time you know the job's over, you're on to the next job. How do you get, or how do you ask clients to give you a written review?
So I have my business cards and I have something called a review card. So at the end of the project, I'll meet with the
Okay.
client. We'll do a walkthrough. I'll give them the initial invoice, and at the end, I'll be like, "Hey, if you like the work, here's my card. Just give us a little review on Google, Home Stars, wherever you can. It would be much appreciated." And then I tell them I'll follow up with them the next 2 days. I will, and then most of the time, I'll get a review. It's just
Okay.
about not being so persistent, but just making sure that you follow up with them in the end, because people
Yeah.
do forget. People have lives, people have kids, people have families. A little review might not be on their mind at that moment, but if you just give them a little reminder, I'm sure they're more than likely to give you that little review.
Absolutely. I feel like at the end of any job and construction wise in your home, the homeowner is a little frustrated, towards the end just because, they want to live their life again in their home. So sometimes people are just kind of are walking on eggshells to even ask for the review. So um, that's great advice. And I think that's something everybody in this trade, not just painters, interior designers, construction workers, struggle with. So great advice on that. I want to finish on where people could find you on social media, what your tag names are, your website, anything.
So if you go to solo.to, SOLO.to / a smiling painter, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Homestars. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok. We are on all social platforms out there. We really try to branch out to every kind of age group, because not a lot of people use TikTok. There are a lot of people who use TikTok. Not a lot of people use YouTube. There are a lot of people that use YouTube. So we're really trying to reach every single demographic, because nowadays we're trying to deal with older clients, younger
Yeah.
clients, anyone really who wants to paint their home. So we have to be out there anywhere. We're
Yeah.
updating our social platforms, always trying to engage with customers, clients, anyone who really just wants to bring our company into their home.
Awesome, Matthew. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Again, getting on the podcast. Can't wait to get this out and hope let's stay in touch.
Perfect. Eric, thank you so much for everything. Love the podcast and keep it going.
Awesome. Thank you.